ideas and troubleshooting, and it's like having a personal assistant, rather than using it as a tool to do specific jobs. I actually get it to become an expert in whatever I want it to be. So if I'm doing a bit of copywriting, I ask it, can you be a copywriter for me? And then I ask it to interview me. So I need to write an article on, let's say, construction photography. And I just say to it, ask me all the questions you need to know to be 95% ready to write the perfect piece of copy. And then it just asks me questions. So rather than giving it little tasks to do, which is what most people do, like replying to emails and things, you can actually get it to impersonate anyone on the planet, really.
And does it remember who it is in a sitting, or is it something that?
Yeah. And the great thing about ChatGPT and some of the other tools, if you get the paid versions of them, you've got a thing called a project. So all a project is, it's just a collection of all the chats you've had with it in the past, and that becomes a little knowledge base. So let's say, for instance, if I'm doing my own marketing, every chat I have about marketing, it might be like, oh, I fancy a new logo. It'll already know all the other chats I've had about marketing in the past, and it'll know where my thoughts are, my tone of voice and all that sort of thing. So gradually you build up a real sort of source of knowledge, which is brilliant.
So it's almost like having your own team.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And you can give it any skill you want, really. I think that's the biggest sort of thing I've learned is you've got to see it as somebody in your team who's better than you at something, and you get it to ask you and extract the information out of you. You're not using it the other way around. And then I just say, ask me one question at once, and this is whilst I'm talking to it rather than typing.
Right.
So it'll ask me a question and I'll think for a second and then, say as much as I can think. And when I stop, it'll ask me the next question. And it'll just keep going. Yeah. So it's asked me maybe 10, 15 questions. It's brainstorming. That's the best thing for it. If you've got an idea and you just want to run it by somebody, you could pick up the phone, but it might be 2 a.m. You might be in bed. Yeah. I'll literally come up with an idea thinking, I rebranded my business the other day. Yeah. I've not done anything about it, but it came up with a brand new brand.
Right.
And it knows I'm into construction, so it shows yellowy orange as a key colour for it. Another thing is speeding up learning tools. So imagine you've got a new plugin for Photoshop and you've got a bloody clue what you're doing with it. Yeah. You can screenshot it, give it to ChatGPT and say, what do I do? Or if there's a problem, an app's crashed or something like that, you can screenshot it, give it that and explain what do I do next. Right. And it just speeds up learning. So I reckon my learning curve has gone from like this really steep thing to something pretty fast actually.
Wow.
Well, something achievable rather than like a nightmare. So you kind of know what you want to do, but you don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But you can describe in normal everyday language exactly what you're thinking. You don't have to know, because the problem with Google used to be you had to know the term to search for. So if you wanted to search for the thing that turns blue into red, it's probably got a name, the bled switch or something like that, just as a silly example. Well, with Google, you need to know bled to be able to search for it. But with AI, you can just describe what you want. And, you tell it, if you don't understand my explanation, ask me to explain it again or ask me more questions, and it'll interrogate you.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Interesting.
So the great thing about them is it's getting more and more powerful with every iteration. There's a thing called deep research, which you might have heard of.
Yeah.
And I've done this for my business and a few other friends' businesses where if they're exploring a new market, especially with construction, I wanted to know what construction people, managers, directors, agents, site agents, builders and all that, what are their number one problems with photographers and photography? What are their pain points?
Right.
And to do this, I asked it to research the magazines, blogs, what they say on Reddit, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. And then it went away, took about half an hour. I think it went to 220 separate websites and gave me a 60-page report.
Wow.
Answered all the questions I wanted. Obviously, you get 60 pages, it's a bit of overkill really, but you can then use that report and interrogate it using AI. So the power of that's incredible. But that's the sort of thing I've been doing with AI.
Good.
You know, it's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah.